kind of a funny, off topic and way off the wall little fact is when I was a kid, I used to do impersonations. Look, when you're scrawny and not popular, you got to come up with something. So I used to do impersonations, but I don't think I can do them anymore. I was just getting ready to try to do. I did it, but I'm not going to leave it on here. I'm going to edit it out. I did my Alfred Hitchcock impersonation. Right. Good evening. If you don't know who Alfred Hitchcock is, you don't get it. You don't understand the reference. Good evening thing, but yeah, it was really bad, particularly bad. So I'm not going to leave it on here. I think I could still do James Stewart probably. You know what? That's even too far for me to go. That's even too far for me. We finally have reached a point where I would be too embarrassed to even try to do some of these impersonations on video and just post it without me actually trying it in private first. Yeah, maybe I'll do that later. We'll see what happens. The only problem is they're all old people from old days gone by that nobody probably know who they are today because it was when I was a kid. That's a long time ago, unfortunately for me. Anyway, just sitting here. It's Monday evening. Val is out at yoga on her way home by now, I'm sure. And I'm having this is my dinner. It's I know people will find shit to say about it, but what it is it's blueberries, it's strawberries, it's Fairlife Skim, which is also lactose-free, highly super filtered milk, and 40 grams of whey isolate, Isopure. And it was a huge thing. It was like almost 3 of these. Yeah, so, yeah, I know. The fructose, you can't use it. It's like the only version of sugar that you can't use for muscle glycogen, and yet it still stimulates an insulinogenic response. So hopefully at least the insulin has the protein to push, but other than that, is what it is. I think I'm fine. I think I'm safe with it. I've cut out the processed sugars and all that garbage, so I like fruit, so I'm enjoying fruit now, and it's just something that I reach for instead of junk, Come on, man. I'm being realistic. This is real guy stuff here. Just average guy, just average dude. I just wanted to talk briefly, and I'm never brief, so if you really want brief, then just click off of this video because you're probably not going to get brief. If I say brief, it's false advertising right off the top. But I was thinking the other day, I was just laughing and kidding around with Val, and he got to talking about Rich Piana and 5% nutrition. And now this is not intended to be a serious video. It's not a serious topic. I don't really care either way. I don't have a horse in the race. But, just as a fly on the wall, kind of observing what has happened since Rich Piana has passed and how his meteoric rise, to the top, and now what's happened in the aftermath of his passing, and his company, which there's no question, whoever all else is involved in names on contracts and et cetera, or whatever licensing agreements or whatever there may be, who the hell knows? Don't care. I'm not really interested. Don't need to know. But whoever else is involved, heavy players in that company, it's clear, more than ever since he's been gone, that Rich Piana was the be-all, end-all to that company. I mean, that was it. So, in Fairy Tale Fantasyland, what would I have done if I were 5% nutrition after Rich passed? Well, first, I think they, my opinion is they totally dropped the ball. But I think what I would have done was I would have really concentrated on staying true to Rich Piana's vision, and then again, we don't know how much was portrayal, how much was Barnum and Bailey type, P.T. Barnum type of promotion things, and how much was actually genuine and everything. But it's irrelevant, to tell you the truth. It doesn't matter. How much of Rich Piana was really the man, and how much was the caricature of the man or whatever have you. Maybe all, maybe none, maybe part. Who knows? I don't care. I'm just saying, I'm just acknowledging the reality. Just addressing that, yeah, I know people will point that out. Hey, I'm no dummy, I understand. But I think that what I would have done, or what they probably should have best done to try to stay, seriously relevant like they were, or like Rich had it, was I would have really bent over backwards to pay tribute and honor Rich Piana's legacy and the direction that he had tried to go in, or where he was heading, and just the route that he took to promote this, and to make everybody feel like they were a part of something more than a supplement company. The whole 5% ideal of being 5% of the population that are willing to do whatever it takes, right? I think that they could have taken, first off, the two key components would have been those friends that were closest to him. And I would have had Mack Truck. Yeah, I know they had their little beef and all that. As friends in the real world often will have disagreements and little beefs. But I think even Mack Truck has, lamented Rich's passing and posted in some of his own videos, commented on how, that the expo he went to wasn't the same anymore without Rich there, and, et cetera, et cetera. So they were friends. And I think that you couldn't cut Mack Truck or Viking out of it without losing any genuine umbilical connection to Rich Piana. Same thing with Chanel. I mean, if you cut them out of it, then you don't have any real direct connection that you can really relate to Rich Piana. So I think the smart money I would have had, like, for example, all right, let me just go way over the top, Fairy Tale Land, tell you what I think would have been cool, and I'd have watched myself. I'd have watched it, and I'm not the biggest fan, but I would have watched it. If they would have maybe taken Chanel, and I don't know if this is doable or not, it's just, like I said, Fairy Tale Land in my imagination. I would have taken Chanel and moved her back out to California in a rented house, kind of sort of the type or style that Rich Piana was known to occupy when he was out there and do a lot of videoing in. Something big and ornate, and you don't need to fill all the rooms with furniture and everything. You only need to have enough rooms with enough stuff in it that you can video in them. And it would have had like a huge painting. There would have been some kind of huge painting of Rich Piana just in memoriam, and that would have been on a wall somewhere, figured prominently. And Chanel would have been kind of like the den mother of the house, so to speak, and because she was there, she was right there in the midst of it all. I would have left her in play, and I would have had Mack Truck and Viking, and other characters too, but especially Mack Truck and Viking come in and out, and we could do, I think, Rich Piana's Bigger by the Day, which was a monumental video series in my opinion. I'm not saying, look, I'm the first guy to say some of the things he said, like milk is an incomplete protein. That was one of the, for me, a lot of it was comedy, but nevertheless, it was sincerely entertaining. No one can challenge that. It was sincerely entertaining, and at the time, it blew everything else in the fitness-oriented community on YouTube out of the water. So, there's no two ways about it. Look at the views it got, response it got, and how many people followed. So I would have, in homage of Rich Piana, maybe they could have redone Bigger by the Day. And what they could have done that way was they could have retained enough of the old, because they could have connected it directly to Rich's fairly, somewhat daily videos as he went along, that the ones that he had posted. And they could have followed those videos, basically. So you would have had pieces of those videos interspersed with the day-to-day life in the house with Chanel, and you'd have had Mack Truck and Viking in and out, and Mack Truck and Viking training together, sometimes Mack training alone, sometimes Chanel training with Mack, or Viking and Chanel training, or Viking training alone, or Mack and Viking training together, or whatever have you. Or they could have trained with other guests independently or together or whatever, as Rich frequently did. And they could have referred back to the videos for the days in Bigger by the Day. And they could have just followed along the formula that Rich already laid out, already documented. It was right there. All of it was right there. You could have had so many cues that would have connected the fan base to Rich Piana still. You know, I mean, the drinks, the protein stuff, how he mixed it up, you know, the supplements, just et cetera, the clothing, the attire. I think it would have been cool anyway. I would have watched it, and I think that it would have won over good. And you could have. There are other very interesting characters you could have rolled in. You could have had a lot of supporting characters. There are plenty of those guys to choose from. But when you got rid of Chanel, Mack Truck, and you got rid of Viking, then you lost all. You're out there in no man's land. Now you don't have any genuine connection, I don't think, anymore, that most people, most of his like loyal fan base, can recognize and key in on and relate to. So I would have never done that. That was a bad business move, I believe. You know, anything that I would have done something along those lines. I think that would have been much more in their interest, in their best interest, than whatever they've done. And it just seems a shame. You know, Rich did all the work. Rich laid all the foundation. He showed you what to do. He showed you how to do it. You know, and no one can replace him. But at least if you'd come off with like a tribute that to pay homage to Rich Piana, we're gonna follow his Bigger by the Day with his friends, and we're gonna, you know, I would have went that way, and that way you would have been incorporating something new along with something familiar, a lot familiar, and you could have seen how it went from then, and maybe you could have transitioned a whole lot of the fan base over thereafter. You know what I'm saying? And the only reason I'm really thinking of this minute is because I just saw Jason Gaddy, Mr. Jason Gaddy, just posted a video, not, you know, a day or two or so ago, about Rich Piana's dog China passing away. You know, and because I'm no follower of 5% Nutrition or any of their Instagram or any of their crap, I wouldn't have known that. So, but I do once in a while watch one of Jason's videos. I mean, every so often I check in and see what he's up to. And I think he's a decent guy. I think he's a good guy. And he mentioned it. You know, he made a video about it in remembrance of China, Rich's dog, who's recently passed away. So, of course, you know, I'm sorry for the loss of China. And, I mean, Rich isn't here anymore. And if you believe in a hereafter, you know, then I don't know. But, yeah, my dog, you know, my awesome pit bull baby, I lost her probably 3 years ago now. And, man, it was rough because I had that dog since she was a little teeny tiny puppy. And she had such a personality, and we were so close, you know. And I have a lot of brothers and a lot of friends that have, you know, shared with me the losses that they've, you know, experienced with their, you know, four-legged best friend. So I know what that's like. And anyhow, that's it. Neither here nor there. Nothing important. Not even an important video here. I just thought about it, so I just figured. And Val's not here, so I'm bored. So I figured I'd throw it up here. You know, yeah, I could have made something more relevant and pertinent video, but just didn't feel up to it right this minute. That's it. Take care. Let me know what you think. If you were at the helm of that company, and I mean, just think for a minute how huge Rich had that. How huge that thing was. It just blew up because of him. If you were at the helm of that company and your livelihood depended on it, and Rich passed away as he did, what would you have done? Don't you think they could have done something a little better? And they could have honored him in a little, I think, my opinion, I think they could have done a little bit of better job all the way around, and to serve their own best interests as well. That's Val calling me now. Have a great night.